Alright, so hey guys, and welcome to my fishing guide for Fortuna. Today I'm going to show you where and when you can catch all the fish you're ever going to need in Orb-Vallis. And let me start off by saying that fishing in Orb-Vallis is completely different to fishing in the plains, because number one, you don't need different fishing spears. You can catch all the fish with the basic fishing spear that you can buy from base for 500 standing. And number two, you also kind of don't need bait, because I was able to catch 12 out of the 13 different species of servofish without using bait, and I'm pretty sure I would have been able to catch the 13th species as well if I just gave it more time. But there are some similarities, like for example, there are 3 different distinct locations where you find different types of fish, and you have to go through all of them if you want to get all the different species. You can still find fishing hotspots, but they're no longer just a place where you throw bait to lure out rare fish, and they will actually spawn the fish around them. And the final similarity is that certain species of servofish will only show up at specific times, but rather than it being day and night based, it's based on whether it's cold or warm. Now, the 3 different locations are what I decided to call the coolant lake, which is the big lake right in front of the Fortuna lift with a massive coolant tower in the middle. The second one is any cave that has deep enough water to spawn fish in it. And the third one is, well, everything else, whether that be a river, pond, or a lake. And I think the best way to show you what I mean is simply by doing this. Now, this is my updated Orb-Vallis map, and you can download it by simply clicking the first link in the description. And on this map you can see the coolant lake, which is highlighted in orange. You can see the rivers, lakes and ponds, which is everything else, highlighted in cyan. And I also marked most of the caves that have deep enough water to spawn fish with a little cave icon that has a little fishing rod coming out of it. Now, if I may divert your attention to the right side of the screen, you can see that I also color coordinated the names of the fish. So if the fish only shows up when it's warm, its name is written in orange, and when the fish only shows up when it's cold, its name is written in blue. You can also see that the names of the fish that show up in caves are written in white, and that's because the temperature doesn't affect the fish in caves. And finally, you can also see an R in brackets next to Longwinder. That means it's pretty damn rare. And you can see an H in brackets next to Tromizon, Recaster, Caramode, and Synathid. That means that they require a fishing hotspot. And bloody hell, I almost forgot. All you need to do to check the temperature is just open up the big map by holding the map button and looking at the dial that's at the bottom right corner of the screen, which will tell you whether it's cold, warm, or freezing. And now let's quickly go over all the fish. So if you go to the coolant lake and it's warm, you will get the Kriller and Echo Winder, and then every now and then the Longwinder as well. And if you go there and it's cold instead, you will get the Sapcuddy. If you go to any other body of water on the surface and it's warm, you will get the Bricky, and when it's cold, you will get the Tink and Eye. And if you manage to find a fishing hotspot, you can also get the Tromizon and Recaster. And finally, if you're fishing in any of the caves, you can always find the Scrubber and Mirewinder, and if you manage to hit a fishing hotspot in a cave, which I will talk about in a little bit, you can also get the Caramode and the Synathid. Now, hotspots are very easy to find on the surface. You can see one to the right side of my character. You can easily find a ton of them by K-driving or flying through Orb-Vallis. The problem is with cave hotspots, because not only are they much harder to see, but not every cave has a pool of water deep enough to spawn fish, and most caves will only have 1 pool of water to spawn fish, though some of them do have 2, and I think I found one with 3 as well. This, by the way, is a cave hotspot. It's a bright green fog sort of looming over the water with small poofs coming out of it. These can sometimes be a nightmare to find, because you have to find a cave that has deep enough water, go into the cave, look at the water, no hotspot, get out of the cave, go to the next cave, go to the water, look at it, no hotspot, and you do that until you find one. And once you do finally find one, you have to make the best of it, because it's not going to be there forever. It's eventually going to dissipate and move to a different cave. However, I did find 3 caves, which I have marked with an additional H on the map, that were pretty damn consistent with hotspots. I jumped between these for a few hours trying to get the final fish, and it almost seems like they're ping-ponging one of these hotspots between them. Unfortunately, I didn't get the fish, which was upsetting but understandable, because it was the rarest fish you can catch in Orb-Vallis, the Synathid. And this is the only fish that I would highly recommend you get bait for, and you throw it into one of these cave fishing hotspots, because I've been trying to get it for hours and I still don't have it. And the reason I know this fish comes from a fishing hotspot in a cave is because the bait tells you where to use it. And finally, let's go over all the materials you get by disassembling these fish. So the Bricky will get you muon batteries, the Echo Winder gets you anoscopic sensors, the Eye gives you roto blades, the Caramode gives you Sagan modules, the Kriller will give you thermal lasers, the Longwinder will get you lathe coagulant, The Mire Winder gives you parallel biodes, the Recaster gives you neuro relays, the Sapcaddy gives you Venedo cases, the Scrubber will give you exabrains, the Tink will give you dissipator coils, the Tromazon will give you entroplasma, and finally after a bit of googling, the Synathid gives you something called the EcoSynth Analyzer. And that's pretty much it, so I thank you very much for watching. As always guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video and it was helpful, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.
The song of sons and daughters.